News.
You ready?
News. He's never watched the news.
So this week at CES, Sony announced that the PS Vita has sold 500,000 units and is now meeting their projections. Rob, what do you think about that?
I think it's a bad sign. I think the PS2 sold something like 300,000 units this holiday season. It almost outsold a brand new handheld that nobody wants.
Where are you going to buy a Vita? Where are you going to buy a PlayStation Vita?
In Japan.
Okay.
And Korea.
Right. Okay, so I have the option of going to Japan and buying a PlayStation Vita.
So you
think
think the sales
or just going to Walmart?
You think
and
the
buying
sales
a PS3.
So you think it's going to sell like crazy over here?
I think it will sell
Based
very
on
well.
What did you see the PSP? You know how that sold?
I
didn't
think
sell much better.
I think the PSP had particular problems that they fixed.
Such as what?
Such as like it's
How about the biggest problem? How about can I get my games on the PS Vita for 99 cents? Because if I can't, why would I stop playing games on my phone?
Well, because they're different games. It's proprietary games. You're not going to play the games you're going to find on the Vita.
Are you
on
sure?
The phone.
I'm sure Nintendo had that argument, and then half of their games started showing up.
Let me
play Scribblenauts on my iPhone.
Half of
or
their
am I going
games?
to pay $30 for it for the Nintendo DS
Granted,
version?
Scribblenauts. Now the other game that Nintendo made for Nintendo DS.
Here's the other question: do I want to play Vita games? When am I going to play Vita games?
On the train, in the car, anywhere.
That's what iOS games are for.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Fine.
You're
They're
such an
small.
Apple fanboy
No,
now. You
get
an
Android.
iPhone.
That's what
You get an
Android.
iPhone.
That's what Android games are for too.
Okay, so this brings up another interesting point. What does this mean for the future of handheld gaming?
This is it.
Devices?
This is the last one. I guarantee you that you will not see another handheld from Sony or Nintendo after this current generation.
You guarantee it. Okay.
What you'll see, what you might see with Sony, what you might see with Sony is
you're gonna buy me every handheld that comes out from Nintendo and Sony after the Vita.
There will be none.
Well, great. Then you won't mind buying one for me.
We got that. That's recorded in history.
Sony, what they're gonna go with is that. What's the PlayStation Sony Ericsson? It's like the phone.
That came out with the
Yeah, it's like their N-Gage. That's what you'll see. You'll see that.
The Xperia Play.
Yeah,
with Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's got Minecraft. That's a big game.
Well,
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with the integration of phones with handheld
That's
gaming.
where it's going.
Fine. Why can't Sony get involved in that market?
They can.
Great, and you'll be buying.
But that's not a handheld.
That's handheld.
That is not a...
All right, dedicated handheld.
Dedicated
gaming systems.
handhelds. What do you think?
I think Sony might get into more phone development, absolutely. But Nintendo, that's still one of the
Maybe
huge
they won't get into
cash
phone.
cows.
The 3DS hasn't been doing as well as the DS.
That's because
It's on a decline.
Well, they've created a market where you can buy both the DS and the 3DS. They're individual markets essentially.
That's not helping them.
I think that helps them a lot. I think that's
No.
I think we got plenty of people who have a DS and are now going to buy a 3DS and continue to use both.
You're seeing a downward decline, and I think it's going to continue. The only reason it's still around is because it's for younger kids who don't have their phones.
They're dumb.
Huh?
They're dumb.
No, they're not dumb. They just don't have phones.
They're too dumb to buy
can't play.
phones.
Yeah.
How much idiots?
But even then, it's like you have like the iPod Touch. You have things like that.
So you think
much more casual gaming.
So you think Angry Birds
What
is
do
the
you think
future
will
of
appear
games?
to
You
kids?
agree with the Rovio guy that Angry Birds is the future of games?
That's such a broad statement, though. Like the future of all games? No, of course not.
The future of non
the future of like
dedicated
of
console
mobile games?
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Really?
It is. It's already selling unbelievable amounts.
Ben, what do you
6
think?
million sales in one day.
And I don't disagree. I just think that that's a terrible, terrible thing.
Well, that's totally
And we should
subjective.
fight it. We should
Why?
destroy it because it's.
I like games like that. So do many other people. That's why they're selling as well as they do.
Quality is not a democracy. We don't get to vote on what is good. And
You kinda
Angry
are
Birds is terrible. I hate that game. And I've got 3 stars on most levels. It's so addictive, and it is like got good physics and everything. Like it's fine, but it's just like everyone is willing to just turn off their brain and play this stupid.
But does that mean that?
Game.
Sorry. Does that mean that they're going to turn off their brain and keep buying those games and not dedicated handheld devices?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you think
Instead
what?
of playing,
So it seems like you agree with Rob.
I agree with Rob, but I just think it's a terrible.
Right, he just thinks it's
thing.
bad. I think that's just the way things are going. That's not a terrible thing.
All right.
And I stand up for Sony, and they're going to build
great.
a PS Vita.
If you want to spend,
and they're going to put an Uncharted in a handheld game.
for an Uncharted that you could play for 5 minutes at a time on like a little handheld, that's great. I'm going to save that money for buying a real Uncharted game on a console where I can sit down and play it on a big screen. And when I'm out and I want to play for 5 minutes, I'm going to pull out like an iPhone game.
That's what I'm talking about, though.
Which
this
still
concept
has
of
the
handheld
option
gaming
that-
has to be like little spurts. It has to be like on board for 5 seconds and not having anything to do. Which is actually what it shouldn't be.
What, are you kidding me? When
If
else
you're
are
bored
you
for
going to
5
play a
seconds-
mobile game? The idea is it's a mobile game. The idea is you're playing these games when you're going from A to B, not when you're at A or B. That's when, if you're at your... Who, like, sits at home and plays a PSP game? Like, you have a console for that. Play a console game.
All right, hold on.
You have a computer for that.
Let's stop here.
I do that.
You're dumb.
30-second wrap up. What do you think is the future of the PS Vita? Is it going to be a success or a failure?
I think it'll be a slight success in America. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it will.
Just
I think based on their projections, knowing that they didn't do so well in Japan, based on those projections, they'll modify them for sales in the US and they'll meet those projections.
Okay.
Absolutely.
30 seconds.
They overshot it. They put too many features and the price is too high.
The
And I don't
touch.
I don't think people are going to spend that money when they're spending money already on Android phones and their iPhones and their iPads. And, now there are more Android tablets out there. There are just too many other options that offer more than a dedicated handheld device. And it's just not going to sell as well as Sony hopes or needs.
Yeah, but those things aren't mutually exclusive.
You had your wrap up?
I don't care.
This is over.
You can have a phone and have a PS Vita. There's no reason why I'm going to be like,
When you're
sure wish I didn't
when
have
you're
a phone.
young and these things cost hundreds of dollars, sometimes it is mutually exclusive. And if I could get an iPad that does this, and that, and games, and you have a Vita that does games and like movies, like what are you going to spend your money on?
If you're
going
a
to get that
gamer and you want
iPad.
games, if you want specific games that are better and higher quality,
You've got
more
a console.
time went into the development.
You've got a console.